Does anybody else find it weird that this movie is being marketed around the same time as this one? K-Dogs Movie Review. Imaginary is the new Blumhouse film directed by Jeff Wadlow and stars DeWanda Wise, Tegan Burns, and Piper Braun. Wise plays a woman who returns to her childhood home with her new family, only to discover that her stepdaughter's new imaginary friend may not be so imaginary after all. This movie was barely on my radar. I think I saw a trailer a few months back, but honestly completely forgot about it. A sleeper movie with no buzz? Not the best sign. With that said, I really wasn't expecting much. Nonetheless, I love the horror genre. So last night I went and saw this. And I gotta say,
The Republican-controlled House of Representatives, in an effort to alleviate the effects of the, anyone? The Great Depression, passed the, anyone?
this movie is pretty damn lackluster. It lacks pretty much everything a good horror or even movie should have. Interesting characters, an engaging story, spooky ambiance, dread, powerful music, rich sounds. This movie felt like it had no identity at all. It felt as if I was watching a product with little to no passion. Yes, it's competently shot, and yes, it has a beginning, middle, and end, but it feels like there's no passion or character put into the direction at all. Maybe a little in the third act, but overall, completely forgettable. And honestly, boring. So let's get into it. I'll start with my positives for this movie. There aren't many. Piper Braun, who plays the little girl with the spooky imaginary friend, is actually pretty good here acting wise. She starts off a little wonky, but when the horror kicks in, I think she does a great job given her age. One scene in particular had me hooked with just her acting. Spooky stuff. Also, this movie actually utilizes some practical effects. I will always champion use of practical effects when I can. It makes the threat seem more alive and real, especially in horror. That was a welcome surprise. And that's really it for my positives. This movie just feels odd. The characters in this movie suck. We basically follow a small family for most of this. A stepmom, dad, two stepdaughters. I felt absolutely no chemistry between any of the characters at all. They did not feel like a real family. They felt like actors in a movie. The dad is basically used as a catalyst to get our main character, the stepmom, into the same house as the stepdaughters. After they're in the same space, he nopes the fuck out of the movie, constantly away at work while all of the horror happens. Slight spoiler, but come on, who really cares? We don't even get to see his reaction at the end of the movie to any of the horrific shit that happened to our main characters. It's like the movie forgot about his existence completely. This literally happens with every side character in this movie. They serve no purpose beyond a specific scene or plot point, and then they're never seen again. It feels cheap and lifeless. All the character interactions are also just weird and feel awkward, and I think it's because of the dialogue. The dialogue in this movie is awful. Characters will go into these serious monologues that are written to give the audience context, but serve no actual purpose in our story. I found myself intentionally giggling at how awkward it felt. This movie also crams exposition down our throats too. Instead of actually showing us through engaging scenes, like a real movie, this movie just has characters tell us. One character in particular, her entire role is to tell our main characters what the fuck is happening as it's happening in front of them. The worst type of storytelling. As a horror, this is also fucking boring. The first 2/3 of this movie are your typical move into a new house. Our main characters slowly start to experience weird occurrences. Shitty jump scares that have absolutely no reason to exist beyond reminding the audience that this is a horror movie. Not even actual scary stuff. Fake outs with boom music. The cinematography is boring. The sound design was barely there. Good sound can really make or break a horror, and here, nothing was memorable. They try to make this a psychological horror as well, but barely scratched the surface. They could have gone so much deeper into the idea of childhood trauma. This feels so PG in that regard. It's like the writers didn't respect the audience or were too lazy to really get into it, so they just gave up and made it a monster movie. I will say that the third act goes in a different route than I was expecting, and for that I'll give it a little credit. It starts to creep from boring to campy, which I liked, introducing some spooky and wacky things, but it lacked the creativity it needed to become fun, which is ironic given the title and premise of this movie. Once a specific scene happens, I said to myself, okay, I don't care about any of these characters at all and have been bored up to this point, but it's time to see some crazy, wacky shit. Let's go. And I never even got that. This movie also tries to be funny at a few times, which felt very disconnected from the rest of it. There was one joke that landed for me, but it was during a serious scene, so I don't even think it was intentional. No spoilers, I'll just say ventriloquism. So overall, I thought this movie sucked. It's unfortunately the worst type of bad movie. Boring. The third act had a little going for it, but the movie even couldn't commit to what it was trying to ramp up to. Weird dialogue, bad horror tropes, uninteresting characters, lackluster story with no focus, and ultimately, just not scary. I know I'm being a little hard on this right now, but there was so much potential here with the use of practical effects and imaginary characters. I just wanted so much more. Skip this one. Don't waste your time on it. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie in the comments below. Did you like it? Why the hell did you like it? Or did you hate it like me? Also, give me your favorite movie that utilizes practical effects. Till next time.